I was going to do a different video this week, but then this question was posted in my public Facebook group, and I thought, let me talk about this because this is way more important. This was a question that was about profits, and it was why, after making $1,000 in sales, Etsy was telling the shop that they had made $175 in net profit. And as I read the responses that people in the group were giving, I realized that everybody was kind of focusing on the money, which you should, but that wasn't really the problem based on something that the original poster had said. There was one thing that kind of stood out to me, and in all the back and forth, people were talking about ads and spending and fees and stuff, and that's not really the main issue here. So I posted my response with a breakdown of all that, and the person that posted it wrote to me and said, do you mind looking at my shop, because we're really frustrated and we don't know what to do. And this isn't really an uncommon thing, like especially for a lot of newer sellers. When you first start out, you don't really know how to price things, and you have to take the fees into account. You're not sure about this, that, or the other, and by the time the end of the year comes, you have made no money and you don't know why. So I said, sure, let me take a quick look at your shop. And I went over there. I immediately came back and said, do you mind if I do a YouTube video if you send me a few more stats, because that would probably be really helpful for a lot of people. And just let me say that I do have permission from the shop owner to do this publicly, and she's okay with it. It's going to feel like I'm picking on her, but I'm not. I just have to be honest. Also keep in mind that this is a mother-daughter team, so they both run the shop. So it's two people. We're talking about these profits that we're going to be talking about are split between two people. And they sell decals and they sell keychains that are beaded keychains. So it's kind of two price points. The decals come in different sizes, so there's variations on the prices, and there is a lot of variation. So I'm using a lot of averages. I'm kind of aggregating information. It's not definitive, and you would have to go into your own shop and actually look at each listing individually to figure out all these numbers, but I'm just kind of doing a general overall look. And if you are going to do this for your own shop, you do need to look at it in a more granular level, and I have a pricing guide that goes into all this. I'll link that in the description of the video, but just make sure that you're looking at everything individually and you're taking every penny into account. So before I get started, give this video a thumbs up. We're going to go and look at her stats. This is in solidarity to everyone who's ever underpriced anything. We've all done it at some point, so just give this video a like. It'll help YouTube spread this to more people who probably need to hear this. So this is her shop stats. In this picture, it shows that after Etsy took all of their expenses out, their fees and the advertising costs, they made about $175 on about $1,000 worth of sales, and that's not good. The other thing that's not good is that Etsy refers to that as their net profit. That is not net profit. I want to be very clear about that. That is not net profit. You still have to take out your expenses. You have to take out your overhead. You have to take out your wages. There's a lot more that's coming that you have to take out. This is just your revenue that came in minus the Etsy fees. And again, the pricing guide goes into all this. I'll link it in the description. It's very important to get this down, or else you're never going to have a profitable business. So after all of their Etsy expenses, they took home $175 in gross profit that they then have to take more expenses out of, and that is not good. I'm on my artisan shopping directory blog, which is artisanshopper.com, and I'm going to come in here and search for calculator. And that should bring up the article about pricing, and there's a profit calculator in here. Now this comes from the pricing guide, but you can get it in this article. And there's more calculators in the pricing guide, but this is the very basic one. Now they sent me all of the numbers, and there are some things that were a little more expensive, things that were less expensive. So I'm having to do a lot of averaging and kind of estimating and some educated guessing to get these numbers, but we're going to use $3.45 as the average price of the sold items that were things that, the things that were advertised. And we're looking at the things that were advertised. They said that the buyer pays $3.75 for shipping. Shipping is usually a wash. It's anywhere between $3.40 to $3.80. So we're just going to use $3.75 down here too. I'm going to put the shipping into overhead costs. That's really not an overhead cost. Okay, so I'm putting that there, and then we're going to say that this is a flat rate. You do have to put something in here. I don't know why it works that way. Total money taken in on average per sale of advertised items is $7.20. Okay, now this is not right. I'm just saying that this is an average. It's going to differ based on the product and that kind of thing, but it's just to give us an idea. The cost to make each decal, and this is for decals only, it's about 78 cents, and that includes the packaging. It includes the materials for the decal. It does not include things like the electricity for the machines, the maintenance for the machines itself. But that's the cost of the materials and the packaging that everything gets wrapped up and sent out. All right. I'm not going to even put anything into wages because it would be too depressing. And let's say that you do want to make $20 an hour. You would put that in there, but I'm not going to do anything for that now. So then we have the Etsy listing fee. Here's this. The total cost is $5.66. So your net profit after all expenses is $1.54. Okay, let's say that you want to pay yourself $20 an hour. They did say that they could make about $3 an hour with the creation, packaging, because these are customized. Creation, packaging, the whole thing takes about 20 minutes each. And let's divide that by 3. If you want to make $20 an hour, you can make 3 of them in an hour. So that would be $6.66. We'll do $6.67, and you've still lost $5. Okay, so you can't afford to pay yourself if you're making this. Now, on top of this, I'm just going to take this out because that's too depressing. On top of this, you have to pay for the ads, and that's the next step. And that's the big problem, because when you're paying for the ads, that's going to put you in the red to begin with. I figured out how many items were sold based on the cost of the ads and the items sold. Every item costs $2.32 to sell. So the actual cost to sell an item, including materials, packaging materials, and the cost of the ads, is $6.07. So what does that do to your profit? You've lost 78 cents every time someone buys something using an ad. That is not the way that you want to run a business. You don't want to lose money every single time somebody buys something from an ad. And they are selling things that are not advertised, so they have some organic sales, and those are offsetting these losses. But that's how you're getting to $175 from $1,000. When you start out with $1,000 in revenue coming in, including the postage, you end up with nothing because you're losing something on so many of these listings that are being sold that it's eating into the profits of the things that are not being advertised. It's also obvious that running ads on these lower priced items is not effective. One of the things they said in the original Facebook post is that they got 90% of their sales through ads, and they were afraid to stop the ads because when they did, their sales stopped. But if you're losing money every single time someone clicks on an ad and places an order, then you're actually making money if you turn the ads off. I will say that there are people online who advocate just spending a ton of money on ads up front in order to kind of buy a listing quality score. And they want to get the sales behind newer listings. They want to spend the money, and they don't care if they're losing money. But if that's not your goal and you want to make money with every sale from ads, then this is not working. So the first thing to do just to stop bleeding money is to turn the ads off and to raise your prices. Those are two non-negotiables. You have to do that. It's not worth losing money on every single sale, and it's not worth selling things at that low a price if that's all the money that you're making. So there are things that you can do, like in the short term, to increase your profits, to raise the amount of money that's coming in and lower the amount that's going out. That'll help. But in the long term, the thing that really bothered me about this post was one statement that she made that seemed to kind of fly under the radar for most people. And it was when she said, "Some of our things are only $1. We just figured no one would pay more for it, and it doesn't cost a lot in materials to make." This statement and this mindset is why your business will succeed or fail in the long run. And I'm not being dramatic about this. This is a really common mistake that people make, is that they think that they should price things based on what they think people will pay. When that happens, you're going to lose money and you're going to go out of business. Never, 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 never base your pricing on what you think people will pay for it. Also, never, never, never base your pricing on what you would pay for it. When I made wedding cakes, I never would have paid what I charged for a cake because I look at that and say, I could make that, and that immediately devalues it in my mind. But for someone who doesn't know how to make it, or they want something custom, or they want a special thing with their name on it, that's more valuable to them, and you can charge more for that. You do need to do some market research to see what the prices are kind of as the range on Etsy, but never base your pricing on what you think people are willing to pay. Your time is worth something. The personalization is worth something. The fact that people know that they can send you a message and you will answer is worth something. The idea that people won't pay more for that, and so you can't charge more for that, is what will destroy your business faster than any kind of pricing mistake where you're only making a little bit of money. because of your ads. The other thing that people do wrong that will destroy your business is to decide what you're going to charge before you decide how much you want to make. It's really, and I'm saying that a lot, but it's really important to know how much you want to make per hour before you set a price tag on anything. Once you decide how much you want to make and how much it's going to cost and how much fees go into it and the whole thing, then you can decide how much to price things at. At that point, you go do the market research on Etsy to see what things are selling for, not before you decide how much you want to make. And if it turns out that the things that you think you want to make are not going to make you enough money, then you need to make something else. And I'm not saying in this case you need to stop making decals. You just need to look at it in a different way. And number one, don't base it on what you think people will pay. Number two, don't base it on what other people are charging without figuring out if that's going to make you enough money. And number three, make sure that you know how much you need to make through every sale in order to make what you want to make per hour. There are plenty of things that I have thought about making and selling on Etsy, but after I did the research about how much I could make from each one, I decided that it wasn't worth my time and I don't sell them. You have to put a value on yourself and only sell things that are going to be profitable, or else you'll never make a profit. Don't base things on what you think people are willing to pay. That will sink your business. It'll sink your profits. So check out my pricing guide that's linked in the description. Watch this video about ad costs next, and I will talk to you later.